Before we get to our show, here is a podcast we think you're going to love.
Even though we live abroad, as women of Indian origin, we have a common thread that binds us together because of our strong cultural background. NRI Woman is a platform for women to share their stories and experiences on various topics. Our podcast is about inspiring NRI women and their amazing stories.
Some of the stories we've covered include growing up in a joint family in India, adopting a child as a single woman, and rebuilding one's life after the loss of a child. Take a listen. We hope you'll be inspired or learn something new. I'm Bettina.
And I'm Lenora, and we're the voices behind NRI Woman podcast. We're all heart.
Just look for NRI Woman wherever you get your podcasts or find us at nriwoman.com. New episodes come out every Monday. Make sure you subscribe.
Living lives of glamour, here at Perhaps It's You.
That should be our new theme song. I really like that because that's our new motto.
Yes. Hello, everyone. We're here. Are we recording?
Yeah, we are. We've been recording for a while.
Oh, okay. We're here. It's me, Liz.
Me, Samantha.
We are an Unsolved Mysteries rewatch podcast, but after learning of a certain course maker, we have a different focus.
We've dedicated our lives to glamour.
And now we're drinking polar water floats.
Yes.
The height of glamour.
So if you...
Out of weird old cups.
Who died so that you could own these cups?
I don't know, but thank you to them. I went to the snooty pastry shop today because it may have been Samantha's birthday on Friday.
It sure was. Today is Sunday.
And I bought bread shaped like a heart and some desserts, and I walked out of there like I'm the richest bitch in town.
We are having a wonderful nosh.
I'm gonna put
cheers to Liz.
I'm gonna put polar water on ice in an ice bucket because that's how we live now.
We maybe used a few Patreon dollars to order some 12 packs of polar water off Boxed.com. Shout out to Boxed. You are the real MVP because we can't get the fancy flavors of polar water around here, but I can order them online. So we got the Valentine's special edition.
Yeah. That's how we roll now.
Plug your ears if you don't want spoilers about what these flavors are.
Water spoilers.
The black
Attention,
ones,
water spoilers ahead.
The black one, the black label, the ones that are dedicated to people who don't like Valentine's Day, is blackberry champagne, and the red labeled polar waters are raspberry peach.
Yeah. It's not the best polar water I've had, but I still like it.
I honestly I'm not a huge fan of the Valentine's ones. They're fun. I like them. We can get blackberry around here, so it doesn't feel quite as special to me.
I do really like the frowny heart graphic on the bottle.
Really appreciate that. I also ordered the winter variety, and if you can still get your hands on those, let me tell you, I don't know what a cloudberry is, but the hibiscus cloudberry is so delicious. I could drown in it and die happy. Right now I'm drinking...
That's quite... Again, do any of these bitches pay us one goddamn cent? No.
Here we are freely advertising polar water right now.
And Boxed, and I don't even know what.
I know. I'm drinking blackberry clementine in my float right now. I ran out of sorbet, but it's still...
There's more in the freezer, darling.
So good.
Don't trouble yourself. Only the finest Haagen-Dazs raspberry sorbet for you. Just waiting in the freezer. Happy birthday to Samantha.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I know.
No, we should do this every week, though.
Well, we kind of have been. I mean, last week we did.
I think this is the only way to podcast now.
I really agree with you.
Sip, sip, sip. Oh, yes.
This must be the listener's favorite part of the show where we describe what we're eating and drinking while we record. But look,
I don't know. I feel like drinking is a big part of other podcasts. It's not a part of our podcast. It's just funny.
There are some people who the whole shtick of their podcast is they're drunk while they're doing it.
Except that we're drinking seltzer waters. So, I don't know, maybe if you quit drinking, this would be a great podcast for you to listen to. It's you don't need alcohol to have fun. You just need a flavored polar water. And maybe some sorbet.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it is fun.
And Mac was like, oh, this brie will be gone before I get downstairs. And I was like, thanks, Mac. Will it be? Yeah. But
you know what? He refused to come on the show and help us out with the last mystery, so
he was like, he was like, "Do you really need me to?"
We kind of did, but
he so much did not want to, because I was watching this late last night and I hadn't given him any time to do research. Yes, so he was like, "Do you really?" And I was like, "Fine, Mac, but I don't understand what the hell's going on."
Heads up, it's my mystery. I watched it this morning. I don't know what's going on, and I didn't take notes, so it's gonna be terrible.
Perhaps it's you. Perhaps it's you.
Look,
Perhaps
I'm gonna use the excuse that it's my birthday weekend.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Maybe I'll continue to use.
Whatever.
I might be using that excuse for a couple weeks. We'll see.
Delicious polar water float.
All right. Do we have any updates?
The update is that our lives have gotten way better.
Since a very important update.
Yeah, it's been polar vortex week here in the Midwest.
My God.
There was literally a day where basically you could not go outside.
No, you might have died.
There were frostbite warnings.
I hope everyone stayed warm. I heard from people in some other places. We have a few Canadian listeners. Sounds like it was real cold up there as well. I hope everyone didn't have. I hope that you did what many employers did around here, which is close down or allow their employees to work from home. If you're an employer that didn't, shame on you, because
you're not. If you are in charge of that and you did not close, you are not allowed to listen to this podcast. Fuck you. They stopped mail service, which never ever happens.
The bars in Wisconsin closed.
That's how you know I was really serious. It was colder here than on Mars.
Yep.
Than in Antarctica.
Mm-hmm. On the top of Mount Everest.
So everybody fucking stayed inside, but now I feel like everybody is a little
we've gotten
on edge.
Well, that, and everyone is fucking throwing their coats in their closet and going outside in short sleeves because it's like 37 degrees out. I saw a man in khaki shorts and a t-shirt walking down the street on my way here. I'm like, dude, it is not that warm.
I drove past a woman in a spaghetti strap tank top. And nothing like that, in jeans, no coat. She was holding her coat. It was like, oh, it's so warm. I'll just wear essentially nothing.
I posted,
like, no, it's not that warm.
So I posted this in our Facebook group because it was so funny to me. I went out to lunch with my mom on my birthday, which was Friday, and the heat wave didn't come. The 40 degrees did not arrive until Saturday. So it was like 10, 12 degrees on Friday. We stepped out of her house and she goes, wow, it's nice out. 10 degrees.
Several people told me how nice. Like, get out and enjoy the weather. It's 10 degrees.
Yeah, it's not warm.
This is like Stockholm syndrome right now.
It is. Yes.
It's like, no, Liz, it's actually very nice. Get out there and enjoy it while you can. But groundhog, didn't see a shadow.
Early spring.
God, I hope so.
Me too.
Even though we barely had a winter, that was like all we had. I don't care.
Look, those 2 days were winter enough for a lifetime. It was so cold.
We went and, that weekend before, Mac and I went and stocked up on food so that we wouldn't have to really like leave the house. And by the end of that like shopping trip, it was just like getting to be pandemonium where people were just like scooping stuff into their car. I was just like, oh my God.
It was awful. I have a dog that's basically a little greyhound. She has no hair. So every trip outside was putting on booties and a little jacket, and she had to wear this little hoodie all week. And
we've just been kicking our dogs outside.
Oh my God. Well, this is what happens. My dogs dilly-dally too much.
Did that work every time? No. Did Lenny definitely go, fuck this, and just pee in the house?
Look, yeah, you can't really blame him.
Yeah, he probably was like, I'm gonna get frostbite on my feet, bitch. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna pee in your goddamn house. I do not care.
My dogs could easily run outside, pee, come back inside, but what do? They spend a lot of time sniffing around, and then their feet get cold, and they're suddenly like hopping on two legs, and it's like, dog, this is not your first winter. Have you not figured this out?
No, they don't.
No.
Sometimes Lenny or Curtis wants to be let out. I open up the back door, and then they look at me like, no, the other outside. Like, I would like to go to the outside I like, not this sucky outside. Like, I don't control the weather. I get your dog. Maybe you don't understand that. But I think sometimes there's like, the other
Where's
door.
the other door that takes me to
the better outside I like?
The one with squirrels and grass.
Yeah. Well, we've survived.
We did.
It's been a weird week. Baseball player Jose Canseco started randomly tweeting about how aliens have time travel technology, but that our bodies can't physically handle it because we refuse to like change our composition, and it like this was out of nowhere.
My eyes just started to get squintier and squintier as Liz was saying that sentence.
Like, basically, time travel is possible, but our bodies can't handle it. And the aliens want to share this technology with us, but we refuse to change our body composition, which I wasn't aware was something we had, like, so much control over.
Yeah, is it that we're refusing to, or that we can't?
I know absolutely nothing about sports. Nothing. But
today is Super Bowl Sunday, and did I even know until yesterday? Nope.
I didn't either. Someone in the podcast group told me. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess that's now.
Yeah, they were asking if it was too fancy to serve champagne floats at their Super Bowl party. I'm like, fuck no. Also, the Super Bowl is this weekend? Oh,
well, Cardi B is not even performing, so it's just going to be fucking Maroon 5. Have fun with that.
Yeah.
Wait, what was I talking about? Oh, Jose Canseco.
Yeah, this alien revelation.
One of the few sports people who I know who he is because he was in this baseball episode of The Simpsons like 20 years ago. That's how I know who a sports person is. So I was like, oh, that's what happened to Jose Canseco. All right.
Okay. Look, maybe he's right. I don't know. Is he going to reveal how we change our body composition or what?
Not enough specifics.
Yeah.
Jose Canseco, we need more.
Yeah, give us some more. Maybe would I die if I change my body composition, or would I have no side effects? Because
I think you would just be able to time travel, it seems like.
Then maybe I'll give it a try. I want some more info before I decide. He seems to have all the answers. He's holding back. He
seems a retired baseball player with all the answers about alien time travel. Jose Canseco. Let us know.
What has been the internet's reaction to this?
Hilarity.
I figured.
It's also the week that Ariana Grande thought she was getting a tattoo that said 7 rings in kanji, but doesn't understand how kanji works, so she accidentally got a tattoo that says a type of small charcoal grill. Which amuses me to no end. And now she's like mad. People are like making fun of her about it. Oh, white people.
Come on. What did you think was going to happen?
I thought we stopped doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was telling Samantha, because, oh my God, this amused me, that I once stumbled upon this blog that I wish I could find again that was literally just white people with kanji tattoos asking them to be translated by someone who, can actually read kanji. And that person was fucking brutal. So everything would be like, this is rubbish. You're a fool. Like that. Like their translation would be like, this means absolutely nothing. You're just another white idiot. Would be like their response. It was the greatest. Oh my God.
Look, if you somehow know where that is on the internet and can post it in our Facebook group, you will be the hero of the day. Maybe we'll send you some stickers.
Also, should I get a tattoo that I know means fried rice? To show my deep, vast love of Chinese food.
Oh my God.
But then I find out it actually means like, this white person's an idiot. Which I would be okay with.
I mean, fair.
Is it well? Fair. It's well deserved.
Yeah.
All right, that was a little bit of a tangent, but I'm trying to set the scene for this week, and that it's been
weird.
It's been weird.
The cold has gone to lots of people's heads. And no, it's gone to ours. We're coming out of it, but it takes a little while to unthaw. Look, I have one.
It's true. Also, did I have all fucking week that I could have watched this because I was literally stuck inside? Yes. Mm-hmm. Did I not watch it until late last night? Yeah, also, yes.
Did I watch it this fucking morning? Yeah.
Has Amazon not yet released the newest episode of Drag Race All-Stars? And it's been so long now that I could not avoid spoilers, and I know who gets sent home, and I'm pissed.
Wasn't Alaska tweeting about it? I haven't been keeping up, but isn't there some...
It's been days, and I still can't watch it, and at this point I could have just illegally downloaded it, and I'm really mad that I paid for the thing.
That's irritating.
Because it was supposed to be released days ago, and I keep like every few minutes I'm like, can I watch it now? Can I watch it now?
Why don't they release it the next day?
They're supposed to,
and they just haven't.
What
the hell?
And I need to know, because I kind of know what happened, and I need to know.
Damn,
this is not the week to fuck with me, Amazon.
Seriously, we're all stuck inside. All we want,
I could have really used this.
Yeah, is our show's streaming. That's all we want.
Yeah, I paid extra money to get this thing. It's important to me. Where is it? I want to be like that person, like that old man whose newspaper doesn't get delivered like one day and just like totally loses it. It's like calling every day, complaining and like writing long letters.
Sir,
yeah,
it's -20 out, sir. Sir.
No, I'm that person, but about Drag Race All-Stars. Like, I need to know why they were sent home.
Oh my goodness. I do have a podcast related update, and that's
probably more important.
If you're a patron, our first coloring sheet went out.
I loved seeing people.
I want to encourage everyone. So some people have colored the sheets and then posted about them either on Facebook or on Instagram. I want to encourage you to tag us if you've colored our coloring sheets. Liz designed the first one. It's Robbie Stacky. If you want to see a preview, you can go on our Instagram.
Yeah, I colored one to show the world. It's brilliant.
So please tag us if you post a photo of perhaps it's you coloring sheet. It's been such a delight. I know that some people spent their polar vortex time inside coloring.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Our coloring sheet, and that's amazing. So definitely post it. You'll get them emailed to you. Liz is painstakingly manually emailing everyone in the new tiers.
Oh, no, that's not true.
Patreon sucks. Oh, did you figure out a way to do it?
No, not really, but you'll get a message through Patreon, and it gives you a link.
Okay, so that's how it'll work.
Because otherwise I was afraid that it would end up in people's, like, spam or whatever.
Oh, good point.
So that's where they are. Yeah, let me know if you have any problems with that, but it seems like it's been working so far.
Yeah, we don't really know what we're doing. So if you got your coloring sheet, if you didn't get your coloring sheet, please let us know.
And then I'm working on the one for February, which is going to be Hero Dog Mustache.
Yes, I can't wait to color that one.
And yeah, that will be up next.
I think that's...
If you pledged this month, then you'll get that one too.
Yep.
Right? Does that make sense, what I just said? Okay, if you're following along at home, we're on season 3, episode 13 on Amazon Prime.
Episode 14 on Amazon Prime.
Oh, I totally wrote down 13.
It's 14. Last week was lucky number 13.
Brought to you by our evil overlords, Amazon, who will not fucking give me Drag Race All-Stars on time.
God damn it, Amazon.
God damn it. Is that the worst of their many abuses? I'm going to go with yes. Oh, wait, no, it's not. They're terrible in every way, including that.
So there's 3...
Sponsor us, Amazon.
Mysteries in this episode.
And I only like your first one.
Yeah, the first one's fine. It's actually mysterious and interesting. The rest of them are trash. Okay, so this is...
So.
Hope you like this episode.
Settle in.
This is an unexplained death. On Wednesday, December 25th, 1985, after completing her shift at a local hospital, Debbie Wolf of Fayetteville, North Carolina, left work, presumably heading home. According to Debbie's mother, Jenny Edwards, the next morning, Debbie should have been at work. She had to be at work at 8. Debbie did not go to work. Debbie did not answer her telephone, and it wasn't like her at all. She never missed work.
This children's story. Debbie did not go to work. Debbie did not answer her phone.
That was a direct quote. That's really how her mom talks.
Debbie has dropped off the grid. Debbie no longer loves you.
Debbie has been murdered.
Debbie has been murdered.
All right, so Debbie lived in a remote area.
Look for her new children's book. What happened to Debbie? Debbie did not answer the phone.
A little grim,
Debbie could not be found. I told you, we've been trapped inside.
It's been too long.
We're losing it.
So Debbie lived in this remote cabin, basically, in the woods. And
she seemed cool, I'll say.
She
was a nurse. She had some dogs. Yeah. She hated the dudes at her work, and rightfully so.
She spent all her time shooting guns at a metal barrel.
Sure.
I don't know.
Why not?
So Debbie's parents and a family friend named Kevin Gorton.
That sounds like an alien's name.
Gorton?
Yeah.
I am Kevin Gorton.
not the Kevin part, just Gorton. I don't think an alien would be named Kevin.
With my mind, I pictured...
Hello, my name is Kevin.
In my mind, I pictured an alien that's like clearly an alien, but has put like a wig on and is trying to pretend to be a human.
I am Kevin, normal human here for human things. It is Super Bowl Sunday. Right?
Exactly.
I am not from planet Gorton.
I'm here for the sports ball. Where is the guacamole?
That's how I talk, though. I told this story in our Facebook group, which is that I once went to a Super Bowl party specifically because I wanted to eat guacamole.
Good enough reason.
Am I the person at a party who will fucking sit down by the food table and eat the entire bowl of guacamole? Maybe it's happened.
It's meant to be eaten, all right?
Cannot confirm or deny. But I go to this Super Bowl party. The Bears were playing. I was supposed to care. I don't know. I just wanted guacamole. They had chairs lined up 3 deep in front of their television.
That's not okay.
Like bleacher. Like somehow there was a platform.
Comfortable.
No, it was like folding chairs like 3 deep.
Like you're supposed to just sit there straight backed.
Watching the game.
Like in a church pew.
Get to the kitchen because of the chairs to even see if there was guacamole. I just Irish goodbyed 5 minutes in.
Just peace out.
I like looked at Mac like I was gonna cry, and then just mouthed like, "I'm leaving." But seriously, I think I had like tears. I was like, "I can't do this. I gotta go." And I took the bus home and watched Mystery Science Theater instead. And
amazing.
I stand by that decision. Do not throw a Super Bowl party where people cannot get to the guacamole.
And you make them sit in folding chairs like it's church.
Apparently people actually like cared.
Whatever.
I can't relate.
Okay, so
Debbie did not go to work.
So Kevin Gorton and Debbie's parents head over to her house, which was an isolated cabin 4 miles outside of Fayetteville. Is losing it. I don't think he pronounces his name Gorton, but that's how it's spelled.
Oh, whatever.
Why isn't it with a D? It's Gorton. Why isn't it a D?
I don't know.
Gordon.
I
don't remember. I watched this morning.
Maybe
I don't
it's for people like me that pronounce T's and D's the same way, so it doesn't matter.
Maybe.
Either way, it's going to be Gordon.
So they were surprised because they knew that Debbie took good care of her pets, but they said, "We looked around and we saw beer cans lying all over the yard. Her dogs had not been fed. There was a uniform laying on the floor in the kitchen, and other things were thrown all over the floor. It seems like maybe she just took off her uniform and like threw it down." I don't really know what they were talking about.
I think she was supposed to be very neat. Yep. So they were like, she would not just leave these beer cans around. She didn't even drink, which you have to be a little bit skeptical when family members are saying that, but whatever.
Right.
And then they're saying she wouldn't just take off her clothes and leave them in the middle of the kitchen. Like, would I? Yes, that would not be a clue. But apparently for this person, if she just, stuff is just thrown willy-nilly, then
like
her family was like, actually, she was really annoying about being neat, so what's this?
Well, and her dogs normally roamed around outside unsupervised, but they hadn't been fed, which was not like Debbie. Yeah. She took very good care of her pets. Also, Debbie's purse was not in its usual place. Kevin found it shoved underneath her bed.
It's just really weird.
Yeah, why would it? Especially if you're really neat. That's not something you do. Just shove your purse.
I have enough trouble finding my purse when I literally just set it down.
If it's under my bed, I would
like
be
shove
lost forever.
Way back under my bed. Yeah, I'll find it in like 3 years when I finally get the dust bunnies out from under there.
There was also an odd message on Debbie's answering machine, which had been recorded earlier that same day. A man from the hospital was calling to see how Debbie was doing. He mentioned that she had missed many days of work. This made no sense to Debbie's mother, as in her words, she said, "What concerned me about his message was that he said that she had missed a lot of days of work, but she hadn't. In fact, she had only missed a few hours of work at the time that we were there." So this is weird because they saw Debbie like the previous day, so she had not missed work, and it had only been a couple of hours.
This is how I interpret that. So we learned that this guy is a volunteer at the hospital. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a creeper.
Yep.
Illustrating life as a woman, Debbie had 2 creepers at her work. They were both volunteers and both would like not leave her alone. And she kept telling them, like, "Oh, I'm not interested. Either I have a boyfriend," or she was just, saying stuff to hopefully get them to leave her alone.
Yep.
I think this guy thought she had missed work because she was avoiding him.
Could be. That's very possible.
Either he's the killer and for some reason that's what he said, but that doesn't really make sense to me. I think she was just avoiding him and he couldn't imagine that was possible. So he's like, "I haven't seen her. She must have missed work." It's like, no, she doesn't want to see you. I didn't creeping her out.
Think about that when I watched this episode, but that is very possible because he was a huge creep. So the search continued outside the cabin and around a nearby pond. There were no signs of Debbie. Debbie's mother called the sheriff's office and was told they would investigate only after Debbie had been missing for 3 days.
What the fuck
5
is that?
days passed before authorities began a full-scale search. I'm just going to say it, the authorities in this town sucked.
Oh, yeah.
They were the worst, and we're going to hear from the sheriff in a second, but yeah. So they told Debbie's family that they had to wait 3 days, which is ridiculous, because we know from that show 48 Hours that if she's dead or kidnapped or something, you got a very narrow window of time to solve the crime.
If you're ever trying to make a missing person report and they're like, 48 hours have to go by, that's not like law or something. That's their fucking policy. Yeah. Like, they've chosen to do that because they don't want to look into every call or whatever. if they're saying, 3 days have to go by, which is the longest I've ever heard, that's their decision. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely no reason why they couldn't have started investigating this right away.
And in reality, they waited 5 days before even beginning to search. So they said, I believe this is Debbie's mother, they searched the cabin. Later that afternoon, they brought the bloodhounds out, but they couldn't find anything. They then walked around the edge of the pond. But that was pretty much all they did. This is Captain Jack Watts of the Cumberland County Sheriff Department. This guy looks like fucking
Mike Pence.
He is the worst. He says, I think it was mentioned that they had already looked in the pond. There was no use for us to look in the pond, so I didn't think we needed to do a dive of the pond or a complete search of the pond on that day, so we didn't. Her parents never said they looked in the pond.
How would they? They're just people.
Did they wade into it themselves? It's completely ridiculous.
It's like, well, I thought the family had their own dive team. That doesn't make any sense.
No, but what they did do was hire someone to dive in the pond because the sheriff's department refused to do it. So Jenny Edwards, which again is Debbie's mother, decided to hire her own divers. And on January 1st, 1986, Kevin Gorton and another friend... This is why this is confusing, because Kevin Gorton's friend is Gordon Childress. So we have a Gorton and a Gordon. Okay. They returned to the pond. Both men were familiar with rescue work. Childress dragged the pond looking for evidence. According to Kevin, he was in the water approximately 2 minutes when he called out to me and told me that he had found what looked like a set of footprints and a drag mark. In fact, according to Gordon Childress, he found 2 sets of footprints pressed into the thick mud along with drag marks. Once he went down under the murky water, it wasn't long before he came across a body. His quote is, "It was inside of what looked like a burn barrel. That's a rusty 55-gallon oil drum type thing with holes in it."
Okay, I just want you to keep in your mind how specific that description is.
And her family knew that a barrel like this existed on the property because they said a lot of people use barrels like that to burn things, and what they used it for was target practice. So they specifically remember going to her house on a regular basis to shoot guns at this rusty barrel.
Sure. Makes sense.
Very specific. Keep that in mind. So the police were called to the scene. The dead woman was identified as Debbie Wolfe. The coroner concluded that she had drowned. An autopsy revealed no trace of drugs, no alcohol in her system, and no signs of foul play. Kevin Gorton does not believe that Debbie's death was the result of drowning.
Neither do I, Gorton.
A typical coroner drowning would be eyes open, mouth open, hands and arms in a very clawed state, as if she was fighting for her life, which was quite to the contrary of what Debbie looked like. Her eyes were closed, her mouth was closed, her arms were in a relaxed state, her whole body was relaxed. She looked like she was just asleep. I don't know if this is true at all. I don't believe that she drowned by accident, but I'm not sure what Gorton's credentials are. I don't know what someone who drowns looks like, but maybe this is true.
The reason that's not proof to me one way or the other. What I do find super weird is the police were like, well, she was probably just playing with her dogs and fell in and drowned and then was in the middle of the lake in a barrel.
Yep, this is what Captain Jack Watts says. Her dogs were running loose when the family members in the sheriff's department first met over there. Possibly she was playing with the dogs and fell in.
And drowned. And ended up in a barrel.
In the middle of the pond. Okay.
Yeah, see, that makes absolutely no sense.
And they, like I said, they found, if she was super drunk, I might believe that, but she had no trace of drugs or alcohol in her system at all, according to the coroner. So I don't know how you just fall into a pond and accident. It makes no sense.
Yeah, no.
So as the investigation continued, Debbie's mother said that the police began to deny that Debbie's body had been found inside of a barrel. I asked one of our friends who was there, I said, what happened? Do they have the barrel? And they said, no, they decided to leave it in the pond. They'll get it in the morning. The next day they went back to get the barrel and they said that the barrel was gone. All of a sudden it didn't exist. The same barrel that had been there the night before. This is what Captain Jack says. In my opinion, and the opinions of some of the investigators, what appeared to be a barrel to some of the divers could have been Debbie's jacket, which may have ballooned out as she was laying at that angle in the bottom of the pond.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because a jacket looks like a very distinctive,
rusty, specific size
barrel with holes in it.
And also, what then happened to the barrel that was on her property?
Great question. So Gordon Childress is certain of what he saw. He says, there is no doubt in my mind, I'm 100% positive that it was an old burn barrel or something of that nature. A metal rusted 55-gallon type drum. That's what the body was in. So
Ugh, horrible.
Jenny Edwards then recalled that a barrel she had seen near Debbie's cabin. She said, I went over to the spot where the barrel was, and the barrel was gone. The indentation of the barrel was still there on the ground, but the barrel was no longer there. Then a few months later, Jenny discovered another inconsistency. When I got a chance to examine the clothes that were on Debbie's body, I looked at them very carefully and realized that those were not Debbie's clothes. The pants were very, very too big for Debbie. The bra cup size was 3 sizes too large for her and 3 sizes too big around. The shoes Debbie wore were ladies size 7, and the ones we received were a men's size 6, which winds up to be about 3 sizes too big.
Yeah.
So
I think her mother would know.
Yep. And I don't know if the quote is in here, but the sheriff talking about the clothes basically said, we don't have any idea what kind of clothes she was wearing. That's up to the family. Like,
yeah, it was so strange. It was so dismissive.
Yeah, the body was handed over to you.
Don't you have any...
You gave your coroner. Like, this is your responsibility. You had custody of the body. Like,
there's a chain of custody for this reason.
If the family received the wrong clothes, that is the fault of your department. And you can't just be like, we don't know. The family knows that. It was ridiculous.
I don't understand why they did not give a fuck.
No conspiracy. Like, sometimes in these cases, there's conspiracy theories put forward about, like, drug running and things and the local police being involved.
They were literally
I saw none of this.
She tripped and fell in a pond and drowned.
It seems like they're just bad at their job. Like, I can't find any other explanation.
And ended up in a barrel.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So, Debbie's family became convinced that she had been murdered. One of Debbie's responsibilities at work was coordinating the hospital volunteers. According to Jenny Edwards, there was a volunteer at the hospital that wanted to become romantically involved with Debbie. Debbie discussed this with everyone, including him, and told him that she would be his friend, but nothing else. Jenny's mother is convinced that this was the man who called Debbie the day after she disappeared, expressing concern that she had been missing from work. Captain Watts says that the man was investigated, and he says, anyone that the family requested we talk to or interview, we tried to interview. Of course, through the information we received through these interviews, there was nothing there that we could use in any criminal prosecution, or there was nothing there that would indicate to us that this was a homicide.
If anybody sees this Mike Pence looking motherfucker, could you just slap him for me?
That'd be great. So Jenny Edwards said that the volunteer had since left the area. He was investigated by the sheriff's department the night that the body was brought to the surface. However, he provided an alibi and refused to take a polygraph, so he wasn't questioned any further. He left several days after that to go out of state. What really happened to Debbie Wolfe? Her mother believes that she was taken hostage and then murdered. She believes that later someone returned to the pond to remove the barrel so that the death would seem accidental. She says there are people out there who know what happened to Debbie, and I'm hoping that they will come forward and finally say something. She was loved by very many people, and I think that she has a right to be put to rest, finally, and I'd like to do that. So
this is one of those cases where you don't get an update and you get really mad and you yell at your TV because, God damn it, I want justice for Debbie.
And I don't think there was an update.
No, there wasn't. So,
no one knows.
I don't know how
you would even find out because this police department sucks.
I have to wonder if it's someone in the police department or with connections to the police department, because they did not seem interested in solving this at all. And I don't understand why. They made less than minimal effort to even search for her or to do anything, really. So it makes me wonder if it's someone with connections or I don't know, because they did such a bad job.
Yeah, and I just looked at the Unsolved Mysteries wiki, and sometimes they have extra information, and this one doesn't. Just says
really
unsolved.
Sad case.
So her murder was never solved, and it didn't really seem like the local authorities wanted to solve it. So
it's very frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating because there's a lot of indications of foul play, and it's so unfortunate that the family had to hire their own divers to go. Like,
it's ridiculous.
And then all of the evidence they found, like the drag marks, the footprints, they said they were there for a few days, but then by the time the police got around to looking in the pond, it was like, well,
I'm sure they walked right over them.
Yeah.
Because they didn't care. And they didn't do anything to preserve the crime scene. They didn't do anything to investigate anything.
No. They weren't really even concerned about the fact that she was missing. And then when they found her body, it was like, well, damn, I guess we got to do something now. And they did the bare minimum. So
I hope her ghost haunts them forever.
I will say the reenactments for this segment, it was very much like a First 48 or like Forensic Files. Like, they put they're stepping up their reenactment game.
I thought they were very good.
So I thought they were good too. And I don't know if the family was in the reenactments.
I think it gives you a very good sense of her property, what the family found, and and that gives you a sense of how little the police department did.
And it really, so when watching the reenactment, especially of when they dived in the river, for me at least, I got a really good sense of how hopeless they probably felt, because it was just her family there alone, and their family friend who is a diver is looking in the pond. The police aren't there to support them, and then they find their daughter's body. It's like, could you imagine how horrible that would feel? Like, the authorities don't care. We had to hire these people. We're here alone trying to figure out what happened to our daughter. Like, so the reenactments did a really good job of conveying that, and it's just a really sad story. So
I hope they watched this and they felt deep, horrible shame for, at the very least, doing a terrible job.
I'm sure they didn't, but
yeah, well, they deserve the worst.
Poke this guy in the eye if you see him.
Yeah, please do.
Still alive.
Okay, I also have an unexplained death, but it's a little different because it takes place in the old-timey past.
Oh, sure does.
It's, in a way, it's two mysteries. So we have a woman who is searching for what happened to her grandmother, who got on a train one day and was never seen again. But it's also the mystery of this unmarked grave by some railroad tracks, and whether or not those things are related.
It's also a mystery of why that historian thought that facial hair was a good idea.
Yes.
So kind of three mysteries.
The biggest mystery.
I forget what his name was, but I know he was a historian. Did you draw his facial hair?
I didn't, actually, but clearly he's the winner, and we'll just call that the terrible mistake.
It almost looked
the biggest mystery of all. The Thing? We'll call it the Thing.
We can call it the Thing. It's wild. We'll get there. It looks like he stuck his finger in a wall socket, and his beard just like... You know, in those cartoons where your hair stands on it, it's like his beard did that.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. You could, like, make that into a topiary. There's, like, so much going on there.
Sure could.
There's a lot of material to work
Follow
with.
us on Instagram. I'll post a photo.
Oh, my God. Okay, so the first mystery of the three is the case of Conradina. Okay. The first mystery of the three.
Did her parents want a boy to name Conrad? And
I think
a girl came out,
yes.
So they named her Conradina?
The first is the case of Conradina Olson, who in 1910 boarded a train in Brookfield, Wisconsin. And we see her in this hilarious pink...
Do we need that outfit?
It is bad. It is like something that would be in a low-rent My Fair Lady. It's like very lace... full coverage, but like tight.
That hat, man.
With a gigantic hat. It's
They have a little mini outfit for her daughter in the reenactment.
It's definitely something that would be in a musical, and I pretty much hate it. And we see her at the train station saying goodbye to her 4 children, even though she's just going away for the day.
Farewell, children.
Will you survive 24 hours without Mama? Who knows? And then she asks her oldest son if he wants to come with, and he's like, nah. I'm going to stay around here, play video games.
He pretty much does say nah.
Nah. I want to drink Mountain Dew and try to touch boobs. And she's like, okay, very well. And
farewell, children.
Farewell. I have a doctor's appointment in Milwaukee, and I will return the next day. Sadly, she was never seen again. And for the rest of his life, her oldest son, Edwin, blamed himself for staying home to play video games and not getting on the train with his mother. Even though
poor Edwin. Even though
it's not your fault, Edwin.
They didn't have video games.
I know. That's not. I don't know what a kid would have. He wanted to roll that hoop with that stick down the road. He was going to play horseshoes. I don't know why.
Sure.
He didn't want to go to Milwaukee.
Well,
Hated Milwaukee.
Well,
that's Edwin's business. So, in 1983, over 70 years later, Edwin's daughter, Geneva Olson, is doing genealogical research on her family.
Who isn't?
Yeah, and she wants to know what happened to Conrad the lady. Conradina. Oh, God. Who is married to 33-year-old Carl Olson, a railroad coachman. So guess what? Not a happy marriage.
Shocking.
Geneva reminds us at the time that if you had an unhappy marriage, there was really fuck all you could do about it except get on a train, start a new life. Because you couldn't get divorced.
Yep.
And she wasn't sure how bad the marriage was, but it was like bad. Okay.
It was like bad.
It was like bad.
The reenactment made it seem real bad.
He's just like screaming at her a lot, and she's sitting in an overstuffed chair looking sad.
Yeah.
That's the reenactment. Because she says she hasn't found any evidence that he was physically abusive. And my evidence is that it was fucking 1910.
It would be more unlikely that he wasn't physically abusive.
Like that would be like weird, and people might write about that in the newspaper. Man does not hit wife.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. So that's my evidence. I don't know. Okay. So she has this amazing gift shop. Geneva does. I hope the reenactment is really her store, and goddamn do I want to go there.
Do you think it's still around?
And it still sells the same merchandise, which seem to be entirely beaded plant hangers and those sort of strange statuesque tchotchkes you win at carnivals.
I need to go there.
It was just like fiberglass frogs and things made out of beads and macrame. And that seemed to be all she fucking sold, and the store was huge.
I think the podcast studio could use some decorations. That might be a good use of some Patreon dollars. Take a trip to Geneva's store.
I have
buy
never
some frogs.
wanted to do anything more. I have this like weird pig bank that I got at a thrift store that's like my prized possession. That has this like, my brother says it has like a weird whorish face. Like it has like makeup, really like looks like it's strange looking. I hope people understand the sort of thing that I'm talking about. That's all this woman seemed to sell. But anyway, a woman comes in one day and says that she is looking for a Pegasus, which is the sort of errand I would like to go on.
Sure.
Because she is a psychic and she would like a Pegasus for her psychic shop.
Have you ever watched that reality show about Atlas Obscura?
No.
Did you know they have a reality show? It's extremely staged, but they literally will just be standing there. Like, the director's like, okay, you two stand there, and they'll have some scripted conversation, and then some weirdo will walk through the door and be like, I need an alligator tongue today. Like, well, you're in luck.
Is it always me? It's just like me wearing like mustaches and top hats, and I'm coming in and going, hello there, I need an alligator tongue. And they were like, weren't you just in here looking for a Pegasus? and a macrame plant hanger and a fiberglass frog. Like, we're on you. Anyway, before Geneva can ask the psychic any questions, the psychic says, you want to ask me about your grandmother, don't you? Which I bet psychics say that all the time.
I'm sure they say that to everyone they meet on the street.
Geneva was like blown away by this. And I was like, Geneva, calm down. And the psychic asks if she has anything of her grandmother's in the store. And for some reason, not only does she have a picture of her grandmother, she has her wedding certificate there.
At the store?
Yes.
Does she live at the store?
I don't know. Or she would just had her stuff from her research with her. I don't know. It's odd.
All right.
So she hands those over to the psychic, and the psychic claims that she has visions of a woman boarding a train. Surprise, surprise, it's 1910. What do you think she's going to do?
Take a plane? I don't know. Of course she got on a train.
Of course she got on a train.
And even if she didn't, how would you know?
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't prove. Actually, my grandmother never went on a train. She was born and died in a one-room farmhouse, and she never went anywhere. Like, You wouldn't fucking know. Okay, so she also sees children crying. Okay. Again.
That's never happened before.
Guess what children will do from time to time? A fight between a man and a woman.
What?
Near a railroad track.
Okay.
Which also, guess where people used to live?
Yeah, near railroad tracks. That's how you got around. It's like I live near a street.
Yeah. How do you think there used to be a good and a bad side of the tracks? Because that's where people were living. Anyway. Bless her heart, Geneva's very moved by this interaction. And the psychic tells her that her grandfather, Carl, knew what happened. At which point, Geneva's like, oh, I don't want to think it was him, but also it's probably him. But I don't want to think that my grandfather killed my grandmother, even though he most certainly did. Okay. So she interacts with the psychic more. She gets some more clues. One of the clues is that she's going to receive several letters in the mail. And that in those letters, she would be able to determine the year she went missing, which I swear to fucking Christ, she already knew.
I'm sure she did.
Okay.
She's been doing genealogical research on her family. Also, how would she not already know
her father
that?
is haunted by her going missing and doesn't know we're not even saying what day, what year that took place in.
Yeah, come on.
Did that happen when you were 17 or 18, kid? When did you never see your mother again?
Yeah.
Okay, but the letters are going to show up and then she'll know.
Okay.
What year it was.
Sure.
Uh-huh. And that she was buried in an unmarked grave. Surprisingly, just a few weeks later, the first prediction came true.
What?
And she received a bunch of old letters and photographs, and they don't really explain where these came from. But according to Unsolved Mysteries Wiki, they were sent by her nieces and nephews, probably because they heard she was doing this research.
Yes.
And the letters told her that, yes, there were troubles in the marriage, and that she disappeared in 1910, a thing we already knew. And so she ends up writing to a newspaper to describe her search, which, man, oh man, slow news day. Woman doesn't know what happened to grandmother. Like, all right. Okay, and so she hears about this unmarked grave, which is near railroad tracks in Ellis, Missouri, and that according to local legend, a fashionably dressed woman got off the train in Ellis. She was seen arguing with a man. They walked down the tracks to have their lovers quarrel, and then only the man walked back. And then I guess they just buried her there.
Yeah, they ended up finding a dead body.
The woman's body was discovered along the railroad tracks. She had been murdered, and there was nothing to identify her. And so railroad workers buried her and have been maintaining the grave ever since. The only problem is that this is not her grandmother, because this historian with insane facial hair comes on to tell you that the grave dates back to at least 1888.
Yeah.
And that she didn't disappear until 1910. And Geneva is still like, no, it's her. I just know it.
It was also the body of the people who found the body described her as being much younger than her grandmother was as well.
She was the
like
woman,
early 20s. Her grandma was in her late 30s.
Yeah, it's not her. She, I think, just wants to think that it's her to have some closure on this, but it's clearly not.
It seems likely to me that if her grandma maybe did just get on a train to go start a new life away from her abusive husband.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think the kids don't want to think that because that means that they got left, but
could have been what happened.
Maybe she got killed in Milwaukee. Maybe there was a horrible accident and they weren't able to identify her body. Like, communication is not great in 1910. That news might never get back to you. So, in the end, Geneva suspects that it was her grandfather, but she doesn't really know. And she hopes that really she just left voluntarily to escape an abusive marriage. It's proven that she is not the person in the unmarked grave. The person in the unmarked grave might be someone named Lula King, but that has not been confirmed. So that is still a mystery.
I want to know if her dad is still alive, and if he is, what he thinks about her theory that his dad followed his mother on the train and then killed her.
I thought it was very strange that he is not included in the segment at all.
Yeah, is he just... Maybe he's not... They don't say that he's dead, so maybe he's just not into this research.
Yeah, I mean, it was haunting him.
Right.
But maybe in a way it was better not to know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think that's all that I have written down here. And then we get into your mystery that I can barely follow, and I'm pretty sure this woman is trying to figure out what happened to her father, a terrorist.
So, yeah, this is going to be the worst job I've ever done on this podcast.
Okay,
just
everybody,
you know.
Everybody, you have to give Samantha a break because it's her fucking birthday.
Yeah,
and also, what do you care? Super Bowl, something.
Sure.
Just go do something else right now.
So this is from, these are not my notes, this is from Unsolved Wiki, because I didn't take notes on this one, because honestly I was watching this morning, my eyes were glazing over, and I was like, what is this?
I was looking at my phone.
No sense.
I could barely follow it, and I was like, Mac, could you please come on and explain this? And he was like, I don't know what this is. I'm not gonna do your work for you, except he said it much nicer than that. And I was like, oh, fine.
So,
God God, you don't even love me.
Yeah, so here we go. Jeffrey
I'm
Sullivan
pretty sure this woman's father is a terrorist, but go on.
was a commercial pilot who left an airship in Waterbury, Connecticut on September 23rd, 1963. He told his wife that this would be his last flight because he was going to stop being involved in such operations. However, 4 days later, he disappeared with a man named Alexander Rourke somewhere over the Caribbean. Rourke had first hired Jeffrey in 1961. I keep wanting to say Joffrey, like our nemesis, because that's how his name is spelled. I believe it's pronounced Jeffrey. That's an aside. So, Rourke had first hired Jeffrey in 1961 as a pilot to fly covert anti-Castro missions for the CIA.
Okay. Do you think he's actually doing this for the CIA? Or that he's just a nut?
I think he's probably...
I think he's just wacko.
I think that's probably true. I don't know that he's actually working for the CIA. So
I think he's just like, we got to get Castro, guys. And they sort of band together as a motley crew.
Yeah, and maybe the CIA knew about it, and we're like, whatever, you do you. If you kill Castro, that's great. Not our problem.
That's the CIA's motto. It's the CIA. You do you.
I don't know. This is so convoluted. Unsolved Mysteries does not do a good job of laying this out.
This is one of their most terribly produced segments because I could really barely follow it.
Yep. So later that same year, the unsuccessful Bay of Pigs invasion occurred. After that occurred, the CIA began conducting their missions much more secretly. And these were the missions that Jeffrey and Alex were involved in, allegedly.
You know,
don't know where this information came from.
The great things about this nation is that we talk about democracy a lot and then decide that we should decide how other governments work. Mm-hmm. A thing that we would never, ever, ever let happen to us. So, we just decide we don't like Castro. That's not how Cuba should be. And obviously, that's up to us to determine.
Yep. So, however, the U.S. government soon released a public warning, issuing people like Jeffrey and Alex to stop their anti-Cuba operations.
Stop trying to, as a civilian, like, make your own war.
Stop your anti-Cuba operations.
Hey, Samantha, could you stop trying to overthrow Canada already? Just to get the cheesy supplies going straight to your house.
Take us, Canada.
Yes, please.
Please. We want out.
Please. We want to... Is it defect?
Sure. People in the military do that. We just want to...
How can we get the state of Minnesota to just become...
Secede.
Yes, we want to secede.
Into Canada.
It's just...
Yep.
Pop right up there.
I think secede means you're your own nation. We don't want that. We just want to join Canada.
Yeah, we want to switch teams.
Yeah.
Can you do... Is it like dodgeball? Can you just do that?
Can you? Just put on a different uniform?
Canada. Is that possible?
I wish. All right, so...
We already have a Tim Hortons here. Doesn't that make us, like, basically Canada?
I think so.
It's
as cold as Canada. So.
I would salute Tim Hortons way before I would salute the flag.
How dare you?
Am I gonna be bitter about that on my fucking deathbed? You betcha.
This podcast said they'll never salute the flag. 1 star. All right.
Everybody, be sure to give us 5-star reviews.
Stop your anti-American operation.
Yeah, well...
That's never.
At least I'm not buying bombers and deciding myself to go overthrow governments.
All right. 8 days after this warning was issued, Jeffrey and Alex left Connecticut. The next day...
I bet they didn't mean us, though. We should really go ahead with this terrorist operation.
They arrived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where they met 2 men. One of the men was Frank Sturgis, who would later become involved in the Watergate scandal.
So he was a stand-up dude all around.
Sturgis said that Alex told him that he had a B-25 bomber and that he was planning to take it to Nicaragua, which would become a base of operations for bombing missions on Cuba.
Oh,
these are just, rogue. I don't know that they had any connection. They claim to have a connection to the CIA. I don't think that's true. I think they're just like fucking, terrorists.
I think they're just terrorists. And then this woman's like, I just want to know what happened to my father. And I was like, bitch, he's dead. I'm sorry.
He tried to overthrow
a foreign government. Guess what? They didn't just send him home.
Yeah.
He's dead now.
Rourke soon rented an airplane, and the next day his wife picked up an unidentified man and took the 5 men to the local airport. Jeffrey, Alex, and the mystery man boarded the rented plane, while Sturgis, his companion, and Alex's wife stayed behind. For unknown reasons, the plane returned to Fort Lauderdale at least 3 times.
'Cause they were not good at this.
The last time, the landing gear remained up, and the controller instructed them not to land. 5 hours later, they landed at North Perry Airport, which is only 30 minutes away. Didn't seem like they were that good at flying planes.
This is kind of just a comedy of errors. It's possible that they were not captured and killed. They might have just fallen into the sea.
Possibly. It didn't seem like they were that good at flying.
It doesn't sound like they have any idea what they're doing.
The reenactment really shows like the air traffic controller being like, don't land, your landing gear is not down. And they're like, oh, sorry. And they just fly away. They don't try again.
Bye!
Have you ever, like... I don't know if this has happened to anyone else, but especially when I was first driving and, like, wasn't totally sure how all gas stations worked. If you pull up to a gas station and, like, maybe you're supposed to lift the lever, but you can't figure it out. Yes. And then you just get in your car and drive away because you're too embarrassed.
I've totally...
Has that happened to anyone else?
I once went to, like, a very, like, futuristic-looking BP station. I was like, how does any of this work? Just pump gas now.
I'm gonna go to the Holiday down the road. Like
because like everything was like so like streamlined. I was like, where's the fucking lever thing?
Where's the button?
And then I was like, I don't want to be that woman that doesn't know how to pump gas, and I just drove away.
Yep. That's kind of what they did. They're like, okay, see ya.
We don't know how to fly planes.
At 1:30 p.m. the next day, the plane left again, scheduled to land in Honduras. However, 2 hours later, Jeffrey radioed Miami International Airport and told them that he was rerouting to Panama. Finally, at 10:22 p.m., Jeffrey said that he was once again rerouting the plane, this time to Belize. I don't know.
These people do not know what they're doing.
The FAA stated that Jeffrey refueled the plane in Cozumel around midnight. Do you remember how Robert Stack said Cozumel? I know it was wrong. It was like Cozumel or something. Oh. I was like, Robert Stack.
Maybe he was talking about that restaurant by my parents' house, Cozy Mel.
Maybe.
They have great soup there.
Maybe. So this was the last...
One person. Hi, Megan. One person will appreciate that reference to Cozy Mel's.
This was the last sighting of the plane, and despite a massive search, neither the plane nor the occupants were ever found. Over 2 decades later, his daughter Sherry, now a private investigator, began to search for her father's fate. She and her lawyer petitioned the government for information about Jeffrey.
Except they don't have any because he's working as like his own Jack Ryan. He thinks he's in a Tom Clancy book. Except that he doesn't know how to fly a plane.
More than a third of the papers that she received from the FBI were censored. She believes that even more documents were withheld for national security reasons.
It's probably the stuff they X'd out. It was just like, this dude is a fucking moron.
Like, we can't tell his daughter this.
Keep an eye out. Keep an eye on him. He's going to be a disgrace to this nation. And they were like, just black that part out when you send it to her.
In the FBI documents, she found the name Floyd Park. She contacted Floyd, and he claimed that he had seen Jeffrey, Alex, and the unidentified man in Belize 2 days after they were last seen. However, Sherry was able to get little other information from Floyd, and she is uncertain of his true identity or his connection to her father.
Okay, so
means
useless.
The only other information...
You know how I just go on tangents that have nothing to do with anything? Unsolved Mysteries is like same.
The only other information that she got from Floyd is that Jeffrey and Alex may have been taken prisoner in Cuba and that Fidel Castro was aware of their operations and placed a bounty on the 2 men.
He probably was aware of their operations and laughed his fucking ass off. He was like, "This is not if the CIA, actual CIA cannot bring me down. These like 3 jokers are." And then Castro
rented plane.
was alive for ages and like died peacefully recently. So good job, everyone.
In 1986, Sherry came in contact with Marty Casey, a journalist who was in Cuba in 1965. While in Cuba, a Cuban exile told him that he knew 2 men from the United States. One he called Rourke and the other Sullivan.
Okay, that sounds like the name of some dogs, but... Rourke and Sullivan? That would be adorable.
It would be really cute, actually. The man said that he was with the 2 men in a Cuban prison in 1963, around the time
I feel like this was John King from our last mystery. Oh, yeah. I was in prison with them.
It sounded a lot like that.
We go by nicknames, though. I call them Rourke and Sullivan. It's like, well, that's nothing like their names. It's like,
well, the one guy was Rourke. Alexander Rourke. And then Jeffrey Sullivan. So it was Jeffrey Sullivan and Alexander Rourke. So maybe.
Fine. He also called them preacher. Wow. I get it.
So Sherry believes that the 2 men in the prison were her father and Alex Rourke. Another name that Sherry found in the FBI document was Enrique Molina Garcia. Garcia was supposedly a double agent for Castro's government. Sherry believes that Garcia was the mysterious unidentified man that flew with Jeffrey and Alex when they vanished. She believes that Garcia tricked them into flying to Cuba, where they were captured. Unconfirmed...
That would be amazing if that's what happened.
I mean, could be. Unconfirmed reports placed Garcia in Havana, Cuba, several years after Jeffrey and Alex vanished. Sherry Sullivan will not give up until she finds what truly happened to her father and Alex Rourke. So the results is this is unsolved. In 2003, a commemorative marker for Jeffrey was unveiled in the Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Augusta, Maine. In August 2009, a Marine court found Cuba guilty of the wrongful death of Jeffrey Sullivan. What this leaves out is that it was by default. I think that like Cuba didn't show up to the hearing or something, and she just ended up winning. And then there was a subsequent like wrongful death suit that got thrown out. So
wrongful death of what?
She sued Cuba, I think.
Oh my God.
And there was like one article about like not that long ago, like the relations with Cuba like got better.
Sure.
You know, like whatever. So things are improving as far as our relationship with Cuba goes, and she was like hoping that she would get more information, but it really doesn't seem like she's gotten any.
But they were like, didn't you try to sue us for literally no reason?
Sherry believes now that her father was shot down by Cubans, was taken prisoner, tortured for at least a decade, and finally executed. However,
for at least a decade? What is that based on?
I don't know. In 2012, a federal court reversed the decision. Sherry is continuing to fight to get the case back in court and hopes to recover her father's remains. That's it. I don't know.
I would like to put a disclaimer on everything I said talking about that segment that I literally have no idea what I'm talking about.
Same. I read off Unsolved Mysteries wiki, so take it up with them if I said anything wrong. This segment was terrible, and it was extremely hard to follow, and I really had to Google... Like, I did do some minor Googling to, like what the fuck is this about? But
no, it was hot garbage.
Nothing that was ever solved. It seems like she's holding out hope. A lot like our last episode, talking about the POWs. She was hoping that he was in a prison for years, and that he would somehow be released, and that... Yeah, for some reason they're torturing him for 12 years. What?
For what? He doesn't have any information. He is not worth torturing. And
I don't know if she's just othering the Cubans, right? They're just evil.
Sure.
And of course they're torturing him for 12 years because they're monsters. You know, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Because your dad flew to a foreign country to commit murder.
In reality, why would you spend the resources torturing someone for 12 years?
Yeah, no.
Why would you feed him for 12 years?
They don't care about him. He's nobody.
Yeah. So this is whatever. Obviously she misses her father. Obviously it was very traumatic for her to lose him. That's awful. And I can understand why she would hold out hope that he was still alive, but
this whole thing is weird.
It's bizarre, and he's definitely not alive. And it's quite possible that he just crashed his plane into the ocean.
It doesn't sound like they had any idea what they were doing.
Yeah, so I don't
feel
know.
like suing the Cuban government is a really weird way to deal with your grief.
Uh-huh.
And very misguided.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That was a weird, bizarre
I hope she finds some peace and can move on with her life.
What I think was left out of the Unsolved Mysteries segment is that Jeffrey Sullivan was a veteran. He was honorably discharged from, I don't remember what branch of the military.
Okay.
I don't know how that plays into this. I think... I don't know what they're suggesting, that he was doing contract work for the CIA, or that they like contacted...
He's like a undercover spy. It's an unofficial mission. They can't put it on the books where they're like, we need you, someone who has no idea what they're doing, to buy this bomber and go to Cuba and try to kill Castro, even though you can't even like put down your landing gears.
Yeah, so okay, I don't know. And then there's like one, I don't know, VFW somewhere that considers him missing in action. I'm not really sure what that was all about, but
I think it was just give him a little bit of honor, but
he wasn't in the military anymore. No. And as far as I can tell, it's not like confirmed that he was even working for the CIA. So
I don't think he was. I'm not sure you can declare him missing in action. I love to blame the CIA for anything, but
sure.
I think this guy was a huge believer in right-wing propaganda, and it got to him, and it made him take some drastic, weird actions. Mm-hmm. So, and yes,
we'll blame Mac for not being here to set us straight.
Seriously, if we Mac. I probably said a bunch of bullshit that didn't even make sense or was wrong, and it's all his fault.
Who else can we blame for our lack of research on this segment?
Mac!
Our husbands. We'll blame my husband too. What is he?
Did he help? No.
Exactly.
We're all on our own here, drinking our polar water and eating our baguette shaped like a heart.
All right.
Such hardship.
Should we rate this episode?
Yeah, it's going to be bad. The first one is mysterious.
It's pretty mysterious. Even this last one, although it was bad, was mysterious.
Fine. Thumbs up, man.
You're so apathetic. Fine, whatever.
Thumbs up.
I'm going to give it a thumbs up for reenactments too, I think.
I think the reenactments actually
they were really good.
Good.
You can tell Unsolved Mysteries is stepping up its game.
I think the last segment is so poorly done that maybe that doesn't count, but the first one was so good. So yes, thumbs up.
Fashion.
There was actually some good fashion.
Yeah.
The daughter in the last mystery had some great fashion. Mm-hmm. I loved her perm.
The mom in the first one, too. Her hair.
Yes.
There's a lot of hairspray in that hair.
I did not really like the Eliza Doolittle dress.
The period clothing.
No, that looked pretty cheap and terrible, but the actual, 80s, 90s fashion gets a thumbs up.
Sure. And Robert Stack?
He was in a marble hallway thing at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. I don't know that we really got a lot of him. He sort of walks past pictures of Debbie at one point. We're getting more hallway walk through enlarged photographs in this season.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Sideways?
Sure. And out of a possible 5 Robert Stacks, I'm kind of low on this one, mainly because I couldn't even understand one of the mysteries. There was only 3.
So confused.
There was an unnecessary update about that woman that broke that guy out of prison.
Yeah, and they go to the motel, the prison guard.
2.5? I don't know. The first one was fine.
I wish the first one was in a better episode.
Yeah.
Because
the first one is a really good true crime story.
It deserves better.
Yeah,
I would go with 2.5 because I think the rest of it is pretty stupid.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Just like that dude trying to invade Cuba. He's like, the Bay of Pigs failed. Well, I'll just do it myself.
Oh, my God. All right. Thank God that episode's over. Do you have a recommendation?
I barely do.
Okay.
I was scratching my head.
You could recommend this polar water that's in front of us.
I was scratching my head trying to come up with a recommendation because I really felt like I had nothing. And I was like, well, maybe... But then I realized, in the honor of the Pupcast, I should recommend my favorite internet pup.
Great idea.
Who doesn't get nearly enough love, according to me. Ziggy the Pup.
Ziggy the Pup? I'm looking.
Yes.
Dog. Is this dog on Instagram?
Yes. Ziggy the Pup, all one thing, then underscore at the end.
Ziggy.
Who is kind of like a white speckled Lenny.
Oh, this dog is so cute.
Originally from El Paso. A quarter Chihuahua. This family moves around all the time. I think they're currently in Italy. They were in Hawaii for a while, and they take this dog everywhere.
He is so cute. He's got little corgi legs. But he's black and white.
So adorable. And sometimes I literally am barely paying attention to my own dog, and I'm like, what's Ziggy up to? I want to know where Ziggy is right now. And they post really great videos of
Here's
Ziggy.
Him in Hawaii with his friend Han, the golden retriever.
He's just the happiest little shaggy... I know.
Look at that little fluff.
I love him.
He looks like a stuffed animal.
I love him so much. Cute. And somehow he has only 200 followers.
What? Okay, our podcast is now following him.
I just think he's the greatest. I found him because, I should have looked this up. But this artist I like painted a painting of him, and I was like, that's the cutest dog in the whole world. And she was like, oh yeah, that's my sister's dog.
Aww.
That's how I found him. And I just love, Ziggy. I hope
he is so cute.
But seriously, they will take him to like pizzerias in Italy and shit.
Wow, he is living the life.
Yeah, exactly. I am like jealous of this dog's life. One, for the dog's cuteness, and also because it always seems to be somewhere cool.
Oh my goodness. His Instagram says he's a public figure.
Ziggy the pup. What is he up to today? But they update all the time, too.
I love finding new dogs to follow on Instagram.
That's my favorite one of all of them. My favorite cat, if anyone was wondering what my favorite Instagram cat is, Princess Monster Truck.
She's great.
But that's a much more famous one. This is a black cat that has like a vampire underbite, and also the best name in the whole world.
Have you heard of these cats called Kittlers that have Hitler mustaches?
Oh.
Like, because they were born with that, they have spots. Like, I talked about...
Not because they're hateful white supremacists.
They call them Kittlers.
Oh.
Poor cats.
That's not their fault.
I heard about that in the Vocal Fries podcast this week.
It's not their fault that...
No.
Hitler decided to ruin the Charlie Chan mustache. Or not, Charlie Chaplin mustache.
And now the CDC has to call it the toothbrush on their infographics.
Yeah,
we know what that is.
That was a stretch.
We know what that is, CDC. You could have just left it off.
The Michael Jordan doing a Hanes commercial mustache. No one needs that.
Oh, thank you for this delightful Instagram.
So that could be like a little palate cleanser if you've had a bad week. If I haven't watched Abducted in Plain Sight yet, but I've heard it makes you quite angry. So maybe after watching that, you're going to need a little Ziggy the Pup.
What a great recommendation.
That's my recommendation.
My recommendation comes with a gift for you.
What? But it's your birthday.
I know, but I got you a gift.
As it should be.
I wasn't sure how to obscure it so you wouldn't see it, so I wrapped it in paper towels and put it in a plastic bag.
What?
So I made Liz...
Oh my god.
You can describe it.
Samantha has made a cross stitch. Okay, now I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine the most perfect cross stitch in the world. And it has two figures on it. And it says, perhaps it's you. It's not me and Samantha. It's obviously Robbie Stacky and Robert Stack.
So I talked about how I've gotten really into cross stitch this year. And for my birthday, I asked Travis to get me this book called Stitch People, which I hesitate to recommend because it's kind of expensive as far as books go. It's like $50. But it has everything you could possibly need to stitch anyone. And so obviously my first project was Robert Stack in a little trench coat. And there's no aliens in this book, unfortunately.
And yet they charge $50.
It's a very wholesome book, but
unlike aliens.
I used the book to make a little green body, and then I freehanded an alien head.
And well, you did a great job.
Very proud of it. This book is amazing.
I'm so impressed by the trench coat buttons.
I've never done French knots before, so that was my first attempt.
I'm very impressed.
I think they turned out pretty good. It's like a spiral bound book. It's huge. It has a ton, like every hairstyle of a person you can think of. It also teaches you how to do it. So it's a little it's very well written. It's very easy to follow.
Your back is so neat.
Oh, thank you.
Oh.
It teaches you how to do like half stitches, quarter stitches. I learned how to do the French knot by this book. I didn't even have to look it up on YouTube. It has every hairstyle you can think of. I wish I could make Robert Stack look a little older. He looks kind of young, but that's just kind of how all the faces look.
Well, I mean, let's not be cruel. Adding in wrinkles and such.
It also has animals in it. So you can do little Stitch People portraits, and you can include your pets. So it has... Ziggy. Yeah, so you could do a portrait of Ziggy. It has cats and dogs, and it also has a selection of small critters. So guinea pigs, gerbils, lizards. And it teaches you how to do curly hair. It gives you a lot of recommendations for like different colors of embroidery floss to do different skin tones, different hair colors. It also includes a little description of colors you could choose for jeans. I am obsessed with it. I'm having so much fun, and I encourage you to look up if you're into cross stitch. Which I only bring this up because a lot of people in our Facebook group said that they also cross stitch, so I know you're out there. The Stitch People like Instagram page, or you can just look up a hashtag Stitch People. and just see the amazing things.
Who are you going to make next?
I don't know. I might make some gifts, and then I may make so I want to perfect this. I think I want to make Robbie Stacky a little lighter in color, and then change a few things about Robert Stack. And I may either do a Patreon giveaway, or if I'm like really feeling up to it and have the time, I may stitch a bunch of them, and then it may be one of our super duper mystery solver gifts.
Whoa, that would be quite
I don't
the
want to
gift.
commit to it because if there's like a ton, I don't know what number we're at as far as how many super duper mystery solvers we have. It may be more than I can do, but I'm probably for sure at least going to make one more or a couple more, and do like maybe a giveaway for our super duper.
That would be amazing.
Super mystery solvers. We'll see. I had a lot of fun doing it, and it was I got it. So my birthday was Friday, so it only took me like a couple hours to do that. So
very impressive.
Yeah, the book is really easy to
hang
follow.
it up in the podcasting room.
If you're looking for something to put on your wish list or save up your money for, it is an expensive book, but it really has everything you need. And people make like businesses out of Stitch People.
Yeah,
where you can go on. If you go on Etsy, you can send in your family portrait and get someone to stitch it for you, and they use this book.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
They also have extra books. So they have the farm animal book, which has all llamas, pigs, chickens, cows, horses. And they just are coming out with, I got an email because I signed up for their like extras or whatever, and I got an email that said they're coming out with like a backgrounds book, so you can put your little Stitch People on a beach or
interesting.
Whatever.
In
maybe
space, I assume.
Maybe. So yeah, obviously I had to stitch Robert Stack when I saw there was a little trench coat in the book.
Oh my god, it's so good. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. Well, everyone should give us a 5-star review in iTunes, Apple Podcasts.
We'd really appreciate it.
You should follow us on the social medias.
At Perhaps It's You, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
We do have a website, perhapsitsyou.com. There's a forum there if you would like to send us your paranormal story or about a treasure you found. Yeah, sure.
Tell us you like us. I don't know. Whatever you want.
Yeah. What else do we need to say?
Patreon.com/perhapsit'syou is where you can go to sign up to be a mystery solver, a super mystery solver, or a super duper mystery solver.
Our most recent release was Hotel Hell. This month we're doing Ghost Adventures.
Sure are.
And
I think that's all I have.
Is that all of our things? Sure.
We probably forgot something. Whatever.
Sure. But you should really get out there.
Make a champagne float.
Make a champagne
polar water float.
Go outside in the freezing cold in your shorts and spaghetti tank top and solve some mysteries.
Bitches.
Do it.
Bye.
Bye.